Hello, friends. This latest video is another one on the subject of jazz. I do want to state clearly from the beginning that I don't claim to be an expert on the world of jazz. I know some experts. I do know what I like. I do like jazz. I'm more prone to certain areas of jazz, like free and just I like fusion. I like innovation. Do you know some friends, though, as well as my younger brother? My younger brother has inherited what was left of my dad's collection. He was a jazz musician. Didn't take good care, but he had some amazing records. And then I play with a drummer named Gary Foster, who truly is a jazz um, expert, and his collection is amazing. So I have my information, my background. So with that in mind, I'll just show you some more of the jazz from my collection. And again, there's just so much that here's just a sampling, but this is just stuff that I love, and I do highly recommend all of these records. The first one, talking about a record that is underappreciated in the circle of ECM recordings. This one by Benny Maupin, The Jewel in the Lotus. He was in Herbie Hancock's band. He played bass clarinet. I've never heard any acclaim about this album, and this is a dream of a recording. Talk about ambient jazz. Side 2 of this record, it's one of my top 10 island favorites. That's including everything. This album is so fantastic. It just seems like everyone was too busy getting to the next thing that didn't slow down enough to listen to this. Any of you folks that eventually find this record, I would love to hear your reaction, because this is just one of the finest pieces of music that I own. Henry Franklin, Tribal Dance, bass player I don't know too much about, but he put this one out on Catalyst, and it's very vibrant. More leaning towards a spiritual thing, but very rhythmically driven. Let's see. You can see Charles Owens. No, Sunship is playing drums on here. Great drummer. Good album. John McLaughlin is a favorite guitarist. I've got quite a few of his records, but thought I'd show this early one, a jazz outing of his with Tony Oxley on drums. Good example of the English jazz thing going on. This man had his chops together early on, and this album shows it, as well as a very tasteful ear for playing through whatever the heads and changes are that are presented to him. Great album. Bill Evans is a jazz pianist, and in my opinion, this is one of the most beautiful albums he's ever made. Moonbeams. This is an original on Riverside. It's just a dream album. You put this on, and you know, I'm not a big booty call sort of collector, but I'll tell you what, you put this record on and you're trying to get something going on in a real way, some real sensual atmosphere, consider it done. Some improvisation of the highest form, Alexander von Schlippenbach with Kungbor. This is on the Free Music production label. If you can find anything on this label, you got to get it. And if you don't like it, get a hold of me. And I ain't lying. Of a more modern takeoff of the jazz, funk, rock thing that Miles really opened up is this Japanese pianist Masabumi Kikuchi. And this is tight. I mean, this could almost be Miles. This is excellent. The type of ostinato, repeating sort of a rhythmic thing where all kinds of things are happening hypnotically inside. This is excellent. Listening to some Thelonious Monk, some old stuff. Coon Business by Julius Hemphill. I don't know what brother was doing, but when they put this one together, it's just like, oh my goodness, it's just like trying to walk on broken bricks with no shoes. It is just like, it gets into you. Woo! I love Freddie Hubbard, but this is one of the most adventurous things he's ever done. This collaboration with the composer, electronic musician Ilan Mimaroglu. Sing Me a Song of Song Me. For some people, I would think they might find this disturbing, actually. The treatise on the human condition, slavery, and whatnot. It's very compelling, very, very adventurous, and very good. Innovators, here is one of them, Cecil Taylor, and on the original Freedom label. This is a live recording that weren't so sure they wanted to put out, apparently, according to the liner notes here. Thank goodness they did. It just because there's no bass player, and you never miss him. You never miss him. Between Cecil and his drummer on the date, I won't look it up at the moment. This is just, if you can find this baby, you know, you want to snap this. And really, you want to find out about some incredible piano playing and intensity. And Cecil Taylor, another pianist. Art Tatum. I don't know that I need to introduce this man. He had amazing technique with his one-eyed drunken self, apparently. No disrespect to him, but you know what I'm saying? He was the real deal. He was just a cat. And he could play the hell out of the piano. Just lyrically, beautifully, just like you can never imagine. So again, Art Tatum, gotta have some. I love piano. And Paul Bley is another unsung hero, in my opinion. This is an early BYG release of his Footloose. And it's an acquired taste. I'm not exactly sure why, because he's just got a real sly lyrical way of stating things on the piano. It's awesome. Here's a date by André Jean. He's a multi-instrumentalist from France, primarily tenor sax, but also bass clarinet, been around since the 60s. This is compositions and improvisation combined. Wonderful double record set with a postcard from the Hat label, Hat Art. If you can find anything on this label, just generally speaking, this is another label to trust for quality, not just in the presentation, but the presentation is an extension of the music that they're presenting to you. Now, people talk about Jimmy Smith as far as jazz organ, and of course, cool, but now let's talk about Jimmy McGriff, one of mine. Now, this man could make the organ talk, and this label, Sue, love this label. Can't find enough records on this label. You want to hear some hot jazz organ, a la Richard Groove Holmes and Jimmy Smith. Well, McGriff has his own sound. Get to him. Saxophonists now. Of course, there's Sonny Stitt and there's Sonny Rollins, and I didn't pull any out today. But personally, there's Cannonball Adderley. This one, the quintet in Chicago, is a smoking date. Smoking. Guess who's on here? John Coltrane. So Albert Ayler is just, to me, just a god and an unrecognized. Talk about unrecognized artists. Here we go. Everyone talks about John Coltrane, but Albert Ayler was so free, and I mean, he was almost like there was almost like a turkey with his head cut off, still running around live in the yard. It's almost embarrassing and scary, where he had taken the true essence of expression with his music. It's just like, ooh, it's another one on ESP. You never heard such sounds in your life? Is damn straight, and spirits rejoice. Spoke about guitar players. One of my all-time top guitar players, above Wes Montgomery and John McLaughlin, for me personally, Alan Holdsworth. It's English Cat. The vocabulary that he has created on the guitar just makes me cry, and this is one of my favorites, Sand. Barry Phillips is a bass player. I believe he's European. I don't remember. I just know that he can take credit for probably being the first person to put out a bass solo album. And this one is he's playing with 3 other bass players and a percussionist. And there's times you don't even realize you're listening to bass. This is quite innovative and highly, highly recommended. CTI put out a lot of records. They put out probably the biggest hits by Wes Montgomery and people like Deodato and Grover Washington. But this is one that I highly recommend. Look Who's on It, but not just that. The playing on this is just extremely tasteful. Song of the Wind by Joe Farrell is just a dream of an album. This album is just beautiful, just fantastic. Must hear this. I got a ton of Don Cherry, but here's another really strong record of his on the Blue Note, original Blue Note. Early recording with the Hispanic sax monster, Gato Barbieri. Bass player, Henry Grimes, Ed Blackwell, the incredible drummer. I mean, it's just supercharged. It's like, how are you going to not have a good date with people that can play on this level? Complete Communion is must hear for those that want to really hear some good jazz. And one of the threads, another question was most elusive. I had mentioned the Genesis in one of my earlier posts, but another record that was just as elusive for me, which I actually found and had been looking for since my high school days, this jazz album, The Fourth Way, Werewolf. This band was fronted by keyboardist Mike Knock and violinist Michael White. And it's this very original hybrid of the early crossing boundaries of jazz and rock. It's kind of scratchy, and so therefore it's like, you got to go with it to find out what it's got to give you. It's not an easy ride, but it's a damn good one. And this album took me forever to find in decent shape. The Fourth Way on Harvest, which is, again, just a great label. I need to find a better copy of this because I love this Pharoah Sanders album, Themby. This is one of my favorites by Pharoah Sanders. He has many, many great dates, but this one, it starts off very lyrically and beautifully, and then he just hits the gas pedal and we are off into the cosmos, and without missing a beat. The man is amazing. It makes sense that he made so much music with John Coltrane because he could keep up with him, if not downright lead him at times, eh? Let's give some respect. Speaking of respect, a guitar player like no other, Sonny Chirac, here with his wife Linda, Monkey Pocky Boo. This record is just like, what the hell's going on? What these people doing, I mean, it's like, woo! It's like, you just have to put everything on hold and find out what's going on with this. Woo! Everybody's got to have some Charlie Parker. This is a fairly rare pressing on ESP, Charlie Parker broadcast performances. I love ECM, not just because it's ECM, but because of the aesthetic. And I really appreciate the aesthetic of the label, and most of what I've heard on the label is good. There's some crap in there a little bit, but this is another early one. Girl from Martinique by Robin Kenyatta. Very, very special date. Wolfgang Downer and Fred Bracewell are on this. And this just smokes. This smokes. Got a few more for you because I'm hitting that 15-minute mark. These videos take forever to upload. Hours. But this is a smooth, cool date by Elvin Jones, Genesis, where he was like doing something kind of cool and different. I really recommend this. This is space jazz. Much respect to Keith Jarrett, but interestingly, one of my favorite records by him is him playing the organ. Hymns and Spears. This is cosmic as hell. Keith Jarrett, much respect to him. This is one of my favorites by him. A drummer like no other, Ronald Shannon Jackson and the Decoding Society, Got My Eye on You. You know, plays with Ornette Coleman these days or in the last decade or so. But he's got his own thing here, and it's really, really dynamic and really, really powerful. World Saxophone Quartet. Amazing, amazing work here. We've got Julius Hemphill, Oliver Lake, David Murray, and Hamid Blewett. With a combination of players like that, fireworks. The incredible McCoy Tyner, who played for many years with John McLaughlin, his solo stuff is definitely to be checked out, especially this early stuff on Milestone. Sahara is a good one. Two more. Ralph and Akam Kuhn. Akam Kuhn is a French pianist I just love. Very in the kind of like Cecil Taylor in that area. But this is a early and original impulse recording of theirs, which I don't see too much. Impressions of New York, and it's just really a very, very excellent date of music. This last one is an obscurity of fusion, but this one was also one I had, or a friend had, and I could never find a copy. Finally found a copy. This is really explosively good. Mark Cohan on electric sax, Jeff Flames drums, Clint Houston bass, John Abercrombie on guitar. This is just really super dynamic and just frenzied. Really excellent. Really, really excellent. Really, really, really special. Really dynamic. That's all for now.